Question 3 in your IGCSE 0500 paper 1 is the extended response question where you prepare for one of the following: a letter, a report, a journal entry, a speech, an interview, or an article. You are advised to write about 250 to 350 words. 15 marks are for the content, 10 marks are for the quality of your writing. We need to understand what this means. 15 marks for the content means you will need to extract at least 15 points according to the question asked in the bullet points. The points you select will assess your understanding of explicit and implicit meaning and how well you can evaluate them. The remaining 10 marks will assess the quality of your writing, the way you structure your thoughts and feelings in words using a range of vocabulary appropriate to context. This also includes the use of correct spelling, punctuation, and grammar. Let's now look at the question. Reread text C, The Last Migration, in the insert and then answer question 3 on this question paper. Question 3. You are a journalist. You have interviewed Enes and Lotta months after they have returned from their trip. You write a magazine article about Lotta's research project and the conservation work they are both now involved in. In your article, you should describe what Lotta did to prepare for the research project and the challenges Lotta faced. Explain why Lotta needed Enes's help with the project and why Enes decided to help Lotta. Explain how Enes and Lotta felt about what happened on their journey and the changes they hope to bring about in the future. Write the words of the article. Base your article on what you read in text C, but be careful to use your own words. Address each of the 3 bullets. Let us decode the question now. Look at the highlights. You are asked to imagine you're the journalist, not the writer. The format you are to write, that is, an article, and the 3 bullet points which will guide you to extract the information from text C. Now we'll read text C and annotate points that are related to the 3 bullet points. Remember, when you read bullet points, it is important to look at the command words carefully. The first bullet point starts with the word describe. Describe what Lotta did to prepare for the research project and the challenges Lotta faced. In one of the descriptive writing videos, I explained in detail that describe means to show, not tell. You will start by expressing what is thought, felt, and what creates effect. By reading the passage, we find out that Lotta caught the birds, put trackers, planned her study. She faced some challenges too. She had to camp at the cliff, rent a car. She had no money, no funding, so she had to arrange the money. But this is just the explicit detail. Now we look for the implicit details. We have found out that Lotta caught birds with basket traps, put lightweight trackers on them. Implicit detail will tell us how. This required extreme speed and dexterity to prevent the nervous birds from injuring themselves or skewing tracking data. We came to know that she faced challenges such as the tent blown away outside in the wild. She was exposed to severe coastal weather after losing shelter. What is the implicit detail we gather from here? This shows how physically draining and uncomfortable her field conditions were. Once we have covered all the points for the first bullet, we move on to the next. Explain why Lotta needed Enes's help with the project and why Enes decided to help Lotta. Here, the command word is explain, which means we have to go for the details. Through relevant detail in the text, we get to know Lotta wanted to find the fish. She needed Enes to take her to the fish on the boat. Enes was convinced to help her. But what about the implicit details? Why trackers weren't enough? Because she needed visual confirmation. Why Enes was the perfect choice? Because he was a boat owner. He had worked in this area for a very long time. And what persuaded Enes to join Lotta? It was her passion, her tenacity, and also his yearning for the sea. Let's look at the third bullet point. Explain how Enes and Lotta felt about what happened on their journey and the changes they hope to bring about in the future. Here we cover the high and low points of the journey, the storm, damaged boat, finding the thriving colony and whale, and transition into their vision for future conservation and policy change. These are not just discoveries but an emotional milestone. And this is what will form the base of your article, which you will write pretending to be a journalist. Now that we have all the points together, we work on the title of our article. Article title must be catchy as it is competing among other articles in a magazine or newspaper, so it must stand out. It can be either dramatic, a rhetorical question, or a double sided topic. Now, how do we decide the wordings of the title? Look at all the points you have drafted and take the main idea from there. Your article topic is about Lotta's research project and the conservation work. What words come to your mind when you think of the topic? You can use words like voyage, journey, frozen edge, rediscovering hope, etc. After thinking of a word bank, structure them in a catchy title. Look at this title: Beyond the Frozen Edge, Rediscovering Hope in the Far South. This title provokes curiosity and signals a powerful story. Now we work on the opening paragraph and hook the reader's emotions. Since I'm writing as a journalist, I will briefly highlight the who, what, where, when, and why. Normally, we do not start an article like this, but since I am to refer to an expedition of someone else, I need to make reference of the details. Here is paragraph 1. Months after their harrowing return from the icy southern seas, I sat down with researcher Lotta and veteran Captain Ennis to uncover how a desperate solo expedition transformed into a historic discovery. Here, the opening paragraph grabs attention and sets the mood. It explains who was involved, where they went, and what they accomplished. It bridges their past struggles to their present mission. Now transition smoothly from the hook into the background story. Paragraph 2 focuses on Lotta's preparations and hardships. Always begin a new paragraph with the topic sentence. You will frame her project as an uphill battle against nature and resources. Paragraph 2. Lotta's journey started under grueling conditions. Self-funding her research after grants dried up, she spent frozen nights camping along jagged cliffs to study the rare Arctic terns. Preparing for the trip meant capturing these swift birds with simple basket traps, fitting them with lightweight plastic trackers before they could injure themselves or escape. Her preparation was a balance of mapping flight paths on her laptop and managing harsh logistics, including navigating remote coastlines in a cheap rental car after losing her tent to fierce coastal winds. Paragraph 3. While Lotta had data, her electronic trackers only provided coordinates. They couldn't capture visual proof of how the bird survived or where fish stocks remained. She needed a boat, an experienced navigator, and an extra pair of eyes. Ennis, though initially reluctant, was deeply moved by Lotta's relentless tenacity after she tracked him down and waited through the night at the harbor. Craving a return to the sea and yearning to know if the fish populations of his youth still existed, he agreed to help. Notice how paragraph 3 explains why she couldn't do it alone and how Ennis came into the picture. The final paragraph, paragraph 4, brings the journey to its emotional peak and concludes with their current conservation mission. Paragraph 4. Their voyage tested every bit of their resolve. A terrifying storm cut off tracking signals entirely, leaving them fearing the worst. Upon reaching the ice face, damage to the Raven forced them onto foot across the glacier. When they reached an isolated, pristine bay, untouched by human pollution, their initial exhaustion turned into unbridled joy. Not only did they discover hundreds of tons thriving on abundant fish, but they also witnessed a massive whale breach the clear waters, a species long feared extinct. That miraculous discovery changed everything. Today, Ennis and Lotta are leveraging their findings to advocate for stricter marine protection zones, responsible fishing, and renewed funding for polar research. Their voyage proved that untouched sanctuaries still endure and that they are well worth fighting to protect. An article must end with a strong message for the reader, and this is exactly how the ending of this article is advocating for marine protection, responsible fishing, and inspiring future policy changes.